United States is concerned after the massive setback from United States Supreme Court. White House has shared a poster on social media saying, "Keep calm and tariff on." That's a message that has been posted. So it remains to be seen what really happens in the coming days. But for now, Donald Trump is not backing down. And that is the post on social media, clearly going on to say, keep calm and keep the tariffs on. US President Donald Trump has hit out at the Supreme Court after he struck down the reciprocal tariff framework, calling the verdict disappointing and misguided. Donald Trump praised the dissenting justices, saying that the majority ruling was influenced by politics and warning that the rival nations were celebrating the decision. Doubling down on the trade stance, Donald Trump defended the tariff as a tool that is linked to the national security. Let me once again bring in my colleague Srinjoy. Srinjoy, Donald Trump has said that he has a backup plan. What could it be?
Let's hope there is a backup plan for one. And you would imagine that his staff would have organized something. But as far as these backup plans are concerned, they also, there are other issues still in play. First of all, this backup plan could again go to the US Supreme Court. If the US Supreme Court has shown by a margin of 6-3 that it does not favor this kind of imposition of tariffs, what guarantee is there that the Supreme Court will not strike that down? So these are issues that are going to hurt bilateral ties between the US and virtually every other country. So we don't know how the president will deal with this entire thing. Of course, he's imposed this 10% tariff. Now, will they stay? Will this be struck down by the US Supreme Court in a while? So all of these things are up in the air. There is an element of uncertainty. Yes, the India-US FTA has been done. So both countries should be able to say that, yes, it is in place, despite what the Supreme Court has done. And if that is so, then that makes it easier for India. It makes it easier for Indian exporters who know what the situation is. As far as this 10% is concerned, once again, there is uncertainty. Will it apply to India? Will it continue? Because if someone else goes to the US Supreme Court, what happens?
All right, so we have another breaking update coming in. Stay on with us, Srinjoy. In fact, not just the countries, but Donald Trump has also hit out at the judges who gave this verdict. He said, and I quote, "Those members of the Supreme Court who voted against a very acceptable and proper method of tariff should be ashamed of themselves. The decision was ridiculous, but the adjustment process begins, and we will do everything possible to take in even more money than we were taking in before." So there, Donald Trump not backing down, but also attacking the judges in question here. It was 6-3 verdict that was given, 3 in dissent and 6, in fact, in favor of this verdict. And he said that those judges should be ashamed of themselves. For more on this, let me go to a former diplomat, KB Fabian. Thanks so much, sir, for connecting with us. How do you look at what has happened in the last 12 hours? The Supreme Court has struck down the tariffs, they're calling them illegal. Then comes a comment by Donald Trump. He said that he is now imposing 10% additional tariff on all the countries. The deal between India and US, as far as 18% tariff is concerned, it will also continue. Your take on this?
We should recall that the Supreme Court had postponed more than once its verdicts. That is because the judges were leaning towards taking away President Trump's authority to impose tariffs the way he did it. In other words, Trump had enough time to prepare, a course of action should the Supreme Court give its verdict against him. So that he has done it within a few hours after the Supreme Court verdict is not at all surprising. But the question is deeper, and that is America, the oldest democracy, able and willing to correct itself? Because what Trump did was wrong in terms of its impact on the rest of the world, and also, let me make it very clear, its impact on America. And that is why the Supreme Court has done it. But if the president can sort of take care of it and still do what he wanted to do, that means American democracy is incapable of correcting itself as of now. But my view is that ultimately American democracy will prove otherwise, and Trump will be corrected at some cost to his political standing as November is approaching.
Absolutely, and he's not taken this too nicely. He said that he has a backup plan, and that for now is that he has imposed 10% additional tariff globally. Thanks so much, Mr. KB Fabian, for connecting with us and bringing your perspective on this. Let's tell you about what has happened in the last 12 hours in a rebuke to Donald Trump's aggressive trade war. Remember, the Supreme Court has ruled that his sweeping unilateral tariff on imports worldwide violate the federal law, derailing in fact, the foreign policy and the economic agenda of Donald Trump. In a 6-3 decision, the court has held that tariffs exceeded the scope of the law, with Chief Justice John Roberts, in fact, saying and giving the authority majority opinion in this. The Chief Justice stated that the emergency authority Trump sought to invoke this tariff that falls short. However, the ruling does not invalidate all of the Trump's tariff measures that have been imposed on steel and aluminium under separate legal authorities still remain in place. So let's go through the observation of the court. What has court said so far as the ruling is concerned? Observation number one is that the government reads IEEPA gives power to unilaterally impose the tariff. Observation number two represents expansion of the president's authority on the tariff policy. Observation number three, no president till now has invoked IEEPA statute to impose the tariff. Observation number four, as you can see, as far as the US Supreme Court is concerned, that IEEPA does not authorize president to impose the tariff on the countries. Most importantly, observation number five is that the court has said nothing about whether the government should return money. So as far as refund is concerned, there's been nothing on that. On that, let me go across to my colleague, consulting editor Srinjoy Chaudhary. Srinjoy, take us through what could be implications for India. What does it mean for refund? Because that is a major question that people doing business with US would be asking.
Well, the refunds relate to the American people, because when 18% tariff or any percent tariff is imposed on goods that are coming in, the people of America or the consumers in America are the people who pay the tariff additional. So supposing something costs $100 and the tariff is 20%, the person pays $120. The question is, can these people go to court and say, give our money back? That's going to be quite something. That's the first thing. And it'll be intensely confusing, because everyone will say, well, I bought that for this amount and I paid this much extra as tariff, so I want my money back. Is that going to happen? That's the first thing. As far as India is concerned, there are really two questions. As a result of this whole issue, will this FTA stand? If it does stand, as the first impression is that yes, it will. If it does stand, then that's fine. It makes life easier for India. On the other hand, will India have to pay, or Indian exporters have to face this 10% additional tariff? That's the other question. If you already have an FTA, will this 10% tariff be applicable? That's the question India will have to answer, and the Americans will have to explain whether it is in place for India and other countries with whom America has just done an FTA.
All right. So as far as India is concerned, Donald Trump has made it clear that the tariffs will continue. As far as refund is concerned, court has said nothing about whether the government should return the money or not. But do tell us about the judges in question as well, because in India, if you speak regarding and against the judges, there is contempt of court. But if you look at Donald Trump, he has said that the judges who gave, in fact, the order as far as the judgment is concerned should be ashamed of themselves.
See, as far as this U.S. Supreme Court is concerned, a lot of it is very political. The three who have opposed it, like Justice Alito and others, Thomas, they are very hardline judges. They are very right-wing Republican in their beliefs. They have every right to do that. And one or two of them have also been appointed by the president himself. So that is something that has to be kept in mind. But the 6-3 margin is a big margin. It is not 5-4. It is a 6-3 margin, which means 6 of the 9 Supreme Court judges oppose it. Then, if you say that these 6 should be ashamed of themselves, what will the repercussions be? We have to see what the judges come up with now, because this business of 6 judges of the U.S. Supreme Court being ashamed of themselves is a serious matter.
Absolutely, and that's a big charge by Donald Trump. He has attacked the countries, but when it comes to the Supreme Court judges as well, he said that they should be ashamed of themselves. Stay on with us, Joy. We have another breaking update coming in, a reaction that is coming from the Vice President of the United States. He has also slammed the Supreme Court on the tariff calling the verdict lawless. He has also said that the ruling hurts the U.S. industries, backing Donald Trump on the trade pass. Let me take you through what he has posted on social media after that verdict that has been given by the U.S. Supreme Court. He has said, and I quote, "Today the Supreme Court decided that Congress, despite giving the president the ability to regulate the imports, did not actually mean it. This is lawlessness from the court, plain and simple. It's only the effect will make it harder for the president to protect American industries and supply chain." So this is how he has, in fact, come out in support of Donald Trump. President Trump has a wide range of other tariff power that he will use them to defend American workers and advance this administration's trade priorities. Again, as what Donald Trump has said, that he has a backup plan. J.D. Vance has also said that Donald Trump has a wide range of other tariff powers and he will use them to defend the American workers in this case. So that's the reaction that is coming from Vice President of the United States. We will continue to track this very closely for you. With this, a short break.